Scott and I are up here in New York, Long Island. In the last 3 days, we've sat at the bedside of two people who are about to pass through the veil. They're dying. It's sobering. Puts a lot of things into perspective. It's sacred. It's holy. The people around a person who is making that passage, that journey through the veil, the people around that person are so instrumental in that passage. What they do, what they don't do, how they touch or don't touch, how they speak, how they probably shouldn't speak, how they minister, how they love, how they provide a safe place for that passageway, for that journey. Well, where everything just dissolves, everything fades. And all that is important is the soul. Where it's going. Its state. Is it in suffering? Is it in pain? Is it in torment? Is it in peace? Is it in rest? Is it in acceptance? Is it with God? Is it alone? Depth. Death requires dignity. And as I observe different people around deathbeds, everyone is so different. Death requires dignity. So much dignity, respect. It's so sacred. It's almost untouchable. It is untouchable. And the rest of us cannot touch that place with someone else. And it just reminds me of when our souls are in pain here. We may not be going through physical death, but we are feeling the pain of some kind of death. Suffering. So many people suffering. I'm so much more reminded of that when I come back to Long Island. So much suffering. Even though there's so much money here, so much food, so many people, there's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain. We need to be a safe place for the souls of others, especially when they're suffering, when they're in pain. Sometimes we're not, we all fail one another. And that narcissistic side of us just comes through. Non-empathetic side of us that just thinks about itself. And not about the other soul. And the sacredness of another soul's pain. We need to be a safe place for a suffering soul. A sacred space. Respect, dignity, ministry in pain. These times show us our narcissistic tendencies, our selfish ways, our lack of empathy. God is our safe space, sacred, holy place. The greatest safety we have sometimes is only found in God, just like in death. Nobody can really go there with us. We can't go there with anyone else. We can only go so far. We can't fix. So hopefully we don't hurt or injure at that time. I was at the bedside of someone. As a nurse, this is something that is, it's just common to be at the bedside of a patient that's dying. But, when I heard somebody say something and I was like, oh, wow. Like she can hear that. She can hear that. We need to be sensitive. We need to be aware. We need to be safe in suffering. We need to be providers of dignity and respect, that we're not walking through that death. We have no idea because we've never died before what it would be like to be on that side of the bed, on that side of the suffering. It's easy to give advice, tell people what to do. I've done it. To tell them they're doing the wrong thing, tell them what they should do, tell them what they did wrong, tell them they gotta change. All those things that we shouldn't do, telling others what they should do. There's a respect for other souls. We need to learn, be reminded of, walk cautiously as we would want others to walk cautiously with us. Sometimes we're just ignorant and we don't know. Sometimes we're narcissistic and we do know that we don't know. And when the bottom line comes, are we really just thinking about ourselves? And I think that's probably a good reflection of a lack of love, true love, and helps us to be purified in whatever thing we're being shown that. When we can't step out of ourselves and feel somebody else's pain and suffering, we haven't stood there. We haven't experienced it. When that person said that thing over the bedside, I cringed and I was like, I tried to save them. And I said something to try to save it. And later I thought about that because I'm codependent and I am an enabler. And I try to fix and save. And it's something God's working on in my life, because it really never, ever comes back to be a blessing. Because it's not truth. We're not walking in truth when we walk in codependency and enabling. So I thought maybe I shouldn't have said anything and just let it fall, let the words fall where they did, for that person. I just felt it shouldn't have been said, over the bedside of a dying person. But it's not for me to save either. I just have to think about what I'm doing. Think about where my heart is. Pray about where I am, where God has me, what God's doing in my heart, my life. I can't save anybody else. Can't fix. Even in death. We cannot save people from eternal damnation. We can't get in their hearts. This is just my opinion. We can't get in their hearts and push them into a prayer that is going to change them at that moment. God is drawing souls. And they may not say a prayer or a word. God knows where their soul is. God knows what's really in their heart. God and they know where they are in the spirit. If God left it up to us to save souls, we'd be in big trouble, because we mess stuff up and we can't even save ourselves. It is God who saves. It is God who redeems. God alone knows what's on the other side. We can minister. We can love with God's love. We can respect other souls. But we won't walk in their pain. And I think the best thing we can do is provide a safe place, a respect, and a dignity for that suffering. Not fix. Not try to be God. Acknowledge that we're not God. Because when we try to fix and we try to save, we think we're being God, and we're making ourselves an idol, actually. Codependents, enablers, actually are idolizing self because they think that they're going to be the ones to do God's job. It's a paradigm shift of thinking. It is getting the mind of Christ. God is big. God is big. And if we can't let go, we don't really know God's love or trust. I've been talking a lot about Jezebel, and I don't want to put a damper on this video. Maybe I'll talk about it on the next video, but Jezebel is full of control. She does not trust God. She tries to fix and control and create a portrait, usually of her family, but it could be her coworkers or community. Anything that reflects her, anything that is an appendage or reflection of who she is, and paint a picture so that, she won't be judged, but she will be uplifted for who she is through all the reflections of those people around her. But she doesn't trust. She doesn't trust. She controls. There is no dignity in Jezebel. She is sneaky and conniving, lying, deceiving, controlling. And if we're ever dying, and we will be one day, we definitely do not want a Jezebel spirit at our bedside. That would be adding torment to death. We have to check our own hearts because Jezebel operates through all of us. And we don't want that to operate through us, to torment others, to harm others, to hurt others. We can minister with the ministry of the Holy Spirit alone in laid down love, but we can do nothing in our own. Only Jezebel tries to do things in her own strength, her own power, her own manipulations. She thinks of one person, and that's herself. And I say her because I'm feminizing that spirit, but it operates through both men and women. The person that said that over the bedside, they didn't mean it. They were trying to encourage another person in the room. And it was like they were trying to fix the situation too. It just didn't need to be said. And sometimes we just don't need to say things. It does more harm than good. And we all do it. And sometimes presence is definitely much more ministering than preaching, and absolutely better than patronizing, controlling, or putting someone down. Death quiets us. It sobers us up. It sobers us up. And there's a lot of death right now. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see a lot more. So the things that have gone on in the world and are coming, none of us knows what tomorrow brings. None of us knows. May we choose love. Above all, may this be our outstanding debt. May it be love.